This is my brutally honest review of The Sims 4 Dine Out. This is a part of a series where I review every pack for The Sims 4, including all of the older ones. Despite having many videos bashing this pack, I haven't actually reviewed it properly yet, so today is the time. According to EA, with Dine Out, you can own and manage restaurants, create unique restaurants, and dine out with your Sims and experiment with new food. A very literal description of this pack. So looking at Creative Sim mode, there isn't much to be said about Cass here, really. There isn't really that much, and Home Chef Hustle actually has better chef outfits, and that's just a stuff pack. It comes with the bare essential outfits for the NPC chefs and waiters. Emphasis on NPC as your Sims personally cannot play as the chef or waiter, which we'll come on to later. So basically none of the outfits here are actually useful for your personal Sims. They can only be used by the townies that you hire to work in your restaurant. Shockingly, male Sims get almost equality with females, which is a first for The Sims 4, but as I said, none of it's really usable for your Sims, only the townies you hire to work at your restaurant, which defeats the whole point of this existing, in my opinion. At least child Sims get a tiny amount of stuff. To be constructive to EA, I think they should have included a cute chef outfit for kids and toddlers, and also perhaps some date appropriate outfits that you could wear to a restaurant, because a part of the gameplay experience is dining at a restaurant, allegedly. So I think that would have been a better idea. The amount that we get here is very small, and what is there has no purpose for your playable Sims. It doesn't really make much sense to me. I would give Cass here a 2 out of 10. Looking at build mode, despite Cass being bad, there's actually a lot of really good build stuff here. I honestly do feel like there's enough to make a good standard looking restaurant. It's definitely not perfect. Most of the tables and chairs are quite basic and ugly. There isn't really anything to make a cozy looking restaurant, but you can make one. I think there's quite a lot of decorative stuff, and especially shop signs, and I think in general, if you like building, you can apply a lot of the stuff here to a really wide variety of community lots, not just for restaurants. I don't really have anything bad to say about the build stuff here, other than I wish there was more variety in aesthetic, other than choosing between a tacky diner look or a 90s restaurant look. I think if you enjoy build mode, you'll get a lot of use out of this pack. If you enjoy, for example, community lots like shops and cafes, and of course building restaurants can be fun. I would give this pack an 8 out of 10 for build mode. So looking at gameplay, first off, let's talk about eating at a restaurant. The waiter really struggled to sit my Sim down, and there was a lot of lag and action queuing problems. Finally, when we did get to sit down, you can click on the table itself and order some food. Although first my Sim wanted to freak out because there was a thunderstorm outside. You can choose from a wide variety of different things, all from different courses. First up, my appetizers arrived, and my Sim sat down and ate the appetizers like good Sims. But then after that, the other courses didn't come. The main course didn't come, the dessert didn't come, so they just sat there talking and doing nothing. So eventually I gave up on eating, and I tried to get my Sim to draw on her placemat, although this interaction also failed. So the next day I tried again at a different restaurant. Of course, 2 5-star celebrities showed up and wreaked havoc on the lot. Also, the Sim that I invited to join me didn't turn up with no explanation, so I'm assuming that's a bug. So I ordered some more food, 3 courses again. For some reason, my dessert came first, and at first I couldn't actually click on it to eat it. The only option that existed was clean up, so that was weird. Although eventually she started eating it autonomously, and then of course no other courses turned up. I was abandoned by the waiter, so consider eating at a restaurant basically broken. I mean, as you can see by the footage, the whole dining experience is horrific. It's so shocking to me that EA could just release this pack and like literally not bother to fix it. It's so unethical. Like, this pack is clearly a faulty product. For anybody who has already purchased this pack, I definitely would just want to say, please, please, please try to refund it. You probably won't have any luck because ironically EA help is actually no help at all. You'll probably speak to an advisor who's using AI generated prompts. They probably can't speak English. They probably won't understand your request for a refund, and if they do, it will probably take about 6 months to process. So good luck if you do try and get a refund, but I do recommend giving it a go. So that is basically the whole dining side of Dine Out, which basically doesn't work. Absolutely thrilling gameplay. Now, looking at running a restaurant yourself, you can buy any unowned restaurant in the game and transfer any amount of household funds into the business to spend on it. Firstly, it's obviously important to hire staff, and you can see the skills of the staff in question, although EA doesn't really distribute skills to the townies well when they put them in the game, so pretty much all of them have no initial skill. Also, Dine Out allows you to hire important NPCs as staff, which can actually cause major bugs, so that's a very silly oversight. The pack does have some okay restaurant customization. You can choose a precise restaurant menu, and each food has a different cooking difficulty rating you have to consider. You can also customize the staff outfits in any way that you like as well, in addition to also setting a customer dress code. Although unfortunately there is a bug where the outfits that you can customize for chefs to wear in cast deselect themselves. There's also a bug that staff will often not wear the correctly assigned uniform. So with Dine Out, you can't actually work in the restaurant yourself. You can only just stand around and have some idle chit chat with customers in order to improve their star rating. Every single customer, literally every single one, will give you a review between 1 and 5 stars, and this obviously depends on their whole dining experience, although you don't have much control over that. I would say working in a restaurant in The Sims Mobile actually has a little bit more gameplay than Dine Out, which is quite funny. You can speak to your staff members and criticize them or praise them for their work, which will affect their job satisfaction and performance, although it's unclear when you should use these interactions, as the game doesn't really make it apparent if your staff are working hard or slacking off. Anyway, I noticed there's a bug where the interactions with customers as a manager are sometimes grayed out, so you can't interact with the customers correctly, and because the restaurant experience doesn't function as intended, guests will pretty much always leave an unhappy review because they never receive their food. It's like literally impossible to improve your restaurants in the game. At the end of the day, you receive a report with finances, customer reviews, and an employee report, all of which I do think are useful. And as you progress with your restaurant, you can earn perks, which are kind of like reward traits for the restaurant, which allow you to hire additional employees, better meal quality, faster service, and many other perks. You can also keep your restaurant open even if you're on your home lot, although it's a lot more risky and you may lose money this way, so it's usually better to actually turn up. In terms of miscellaneous features, sometimes townies will invite you for food. So if, for example, a sim in your household passes away, one of your friends, like a townie, will invite you to a restaurant to talk about it, or you might get invited on a date or out with friends or something. So not talking about bugs or glitches yet, I just want to talk about the issues with the gameplay itself, because as a game pack, it's definitely one of the more shallow game packs. So firstly, as I mentioned before, there is a huge lack of content in terms of running a restaurant. Why can't you work in your restaurant? Why can't you work with your family members so you wouldn't actually have to pay for the staff? That I feel like would be a lot more fun, kind of like Flo's Dine Dash, that mobile game. I also think it would have been cool to add more restaurant experiences like pool or billiards, and being able to put bars in the restaurants and other activities. So it's just like in real life, you can go to restaurants which are not just dining, you can also drink there as just a bar experience, but you can also do other activities. And maybe this pack wouldn't just be about running and managing your own restaurant, it could also be about managing a bar as well as, you know, other kind of venue types, which would have been really, really cool. That's, I think, the core issue. I think they should have made it a generic pack of being able to run and manage any kind of venue, in addition to adding more gameplay, kind of like Dine Dash, where you can work in the restaurant properly yourself. I also think they should have added some gameplay for kids. What they added with the Home Chef Hustle pack, where you could basically cook food on the fly, I think they should have added that into Dine Out instead. That way kids could set up, you know, kind of like the whole lemonade stand thing from The Sims 2. That would have been cool. To be honest though, in general, eating out at restaurants should not have its own dedicated pack. Because of Dine Out's existence, literally no other pack is allowed to come with eating food in a restaurant. This is why every single Sims 4 pack comes with those annoying food stalls, because they just can't give us restaurants. Also, my theory as to why we don't have a hotels pack in The Sims 4 yet is because they can't, because EA wouldn't let our guests eat at the hotel, of course, because that comes with Dine Out. So that is my genuine theory why we don't have hotels. Considering the total lack of any meaningful gameplay here, and the gameplay that is here literally doesn't function at all, I'm giving this pack a 0 out of 10 for gameplay. Now, focusing solely on bugs and glitches, I usually give performance a totally separate score for most of Sims 4 packs for this very specific reason. As you can see from my gameplay review, not one singular feature of this pack functioned as intended, literally not one. Imagine releasing a game and like literally not one feature of that game works, like literally not one, literally not one. And then of course just carry on selling it at full price, don't address the issues, just leave it as is. I cannot stress you enough, if you do not own this pack, do not buy it. And if you don't buy your packs, then I don't recommend wasting your PC storage space on it either. This is a faulty product. I think Maxis should be extremely ashamed of releasing this as is. Not just releasing it as is, but also failing to remove it from the EA App Store, failing to give a disclaimer that it doesn't work correctly, failing to address all of the issues and failing to fix them. This pack is incredibly unethical. This quality I do not expect from The Sims. I mean, I do expect this kind of shabby quality from The Sims 4, but it shouldn't be expected, if you know what I mean. Bugs and glitches should be a rarity in any game, not a common occurrence that affects literally every single aspect of the gameplay. This pack is broken to the core, and to give constructive criticism to EA, I personally think you should remove this pack from the App Store because it is a faulty product. What most normal companies do when they release a product that's faulty is they recall it and offer a refund to everybody, and then they discontinue the product. So this is my constructive criticism. Recall the product for being faulty. Just because it's digital, that doesn't make it any different to a faulty physical product. If it's faulty, it's faulty. No amount of criticism is harsh enough for this pack, and the reason why I know there is laziness in terms of not fixing it is because there is literal proof that this pack can be fixed. There is a mod called Dine Out Reloaded, which pretty much just fixes almost every single aspect of this pack. The mod genuinely makes the pack feel functional, as well as adding tons of brand new gameplay to the pack. And this was made by one person, so if one amateur person can do it, I don't understand why a team of professionals working at Maxis can't do it. So one can only reasonably assume that they are capable of fixing this pack. They're also capable of adding brand new gameplay to the pack, but they won't. Again, because I'm a Karen, but I'm a constructive Karen. My constructive criticism or advice to the Sims team is pay off the creator Carl, pay off Carl for the Dine Out Reloaded mod, pay him a nice 5-figure sum, and take the mod off his hands and implement the mod officially into the pack. That would be amazing because it would mean that console players would be able to access a mod and have it function in the game, but that probably will not happen. This pack probably will never ever be fixed. This faulty product will probably forever remain on the EA App Store as a faulty product without any kind of disclaimer that it's faulty. The whole thing is incredibly unethical. So of course, the performance score of this pack is a 0 out of 10. So my overall score of The Sims 4 Dine Out is a 2.5 out of 10 How Together by Build mode. If you only like building and you do not play in live mode or create a sim mode, I think this pack comes with some great build assets for building community lots, but other than that, for the same price as Dine Out, you could probably just dine out at a restaurant in real life, which would be a lot better money spent in my personal opinion. If you would like to see my gameplay of the Dine Out Reloaded mod, then make sure you check out this video here, which goes over all of the key features and shows off how good it really is. Thank you very much for watching this review. I will see you in the next one.